All right, so let's get started on doing the buttons for the sleeve and the collar. So far we took the time to create a detailed sleeve, so it's going to be very important to get buttons put on that. So let's get started. The first thing we know is that this portion of the sleeve and this portion is going to have buttonholes. Okay, so let's do that first. You can manipulate your windows so you can see where you're at. These little blue dots will correspond to where you're at on here. Now, when you put a button or buttonhole, it will not simulate on the other side, so you will have to do it for both sides. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to our buttonhole, and we're going to select somewhere in the center here, just like so. We're going to go down here and do the same thing. Put the buttonhole somewhere in the center. Perfect. All right. There we go. It's there, it's just in a weird place. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is put the buttons there. All right, so what we're going to do is select buttons, and we're going to put the button here. And we're going to do the same thing here. Perfect. Look at that. Now, what I do want to emphasize that you can also change your button sizes. So this button needs to be smaller than this button. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the main button. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to call it small button. And I'm going to change this particular button to, say, 7. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to click and drag that onto that button. And so now you have a smaller body button there. Now you can create a smaller hole for that button as well. So we're going to do the same thing, copy, and we'll call this small button hole. We're going to make that say 7 as well. And we're going to click and drag that onto there, and that's going to make that a little smaller as well. Okay, perfect. What we want to do is change the layering. So we're going to select this piece and put this layer on 2, just like we did the placket. And we're going to select this piece and put this layering on 2 as well. And what this is saying, generally speaking, is that there's going to be a blue line indicating that that item is on a different layer. In order to change that, everything needs to be on the same layer. So that's okay for now. So let's go ahead and hit OK. Perfect. All right. So what we're going to do now is fasten. We're going to do one at a time. And see what result we get. All right. Not too bad. Let's see what it looks like. Pretty good. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is fasten this to this. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. Go down to the cuff, fasten. Perfect. There you have it. You have your cuff. Not too bad. But we're not done yet. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Remember, that's going to be underneath there. You don't have to worry about that particularly. It's just that it's turning on her arm, just like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put the buttonhole here. So we're going to select buttonhole. We want to do this one. And then for the default buttonhole, we're going to do this. Okay, and now we're going to do the button, same thing. We're going to do the main button. I'm going to put that here. And we're going to do the small button. We're going to do that here. And just to check the size of the button to make sure it is, that's a small one. And that's the main button size. Good. Same thing with this. Buttonhole small. Buttonhole default. Perfect. Alright, so let's get to it. The next thing we're going to do is change the layers if we haven't already. So remember, we want to make this the layer 2. And then we're going to make this part the layer 2 as well. And we're going to do one. We're going to fasten one at a time. So let's go ahead and first turn on simulation. Turn on simulation. The buttons are getting caught up, so let's just go ahead and get that going. This does happen from time to time. Gets a little aggravated, but don't think you're doing anything wrong. It's just 3D, generally speaking. All right, so that won't go under. That's okay. All right, so what we're going to do is fasten. Click here. All right. What we're going to do is put a pause on that. And what I'm going to do is say, when this happens, what you want to do is check your button's thread length. So in this case, our thread length is still 0. I'm going to put it at 2 for now, and I'm also going to put this one at 2. And I'm going to also disconnect the button by just clicking on it with the fasten tool. And I'm going to let them rest a little bit. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so that's like that. So now what I want to do is try it again. So this time I'm going to go back to the fasten tool, select, and now it's a little smoother. Things are in place. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. Looks like we don't know where our button is, but it's there. If you want to make sure it's out, turn off simulation, zoom in. If you can see it, select the button, and then pull it out. So what we're going to do is go back. That should stay on top, like so. Now, go to the fasten tool, fasten the button to the hole with the simulation turned on. There you have it. Nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright. It's not too bad. If you move it around, it could act up a little bit, but you know, that's okay. You can fix it. Alright, so far so good. Alright, so that's great. So it looks like we have all of the buttons in place for that. I hope that wasn't too difficult. The next thing that we're going to work on is the collar.